digital nomads living the ultimate life of freedom while making a living globetrotting. And today we're chatting with two nomads, Rhonda Craig, who is actually in Europe, currently in London, and Will Manuel, who is in Thailand. Thank you so much for joining us, guys. Now, you both left full-time jobs to pursue your dreams abroad. And Rhonda, let's start with you. You're joining us from London, and you have actually joined the remote program. So tell us about that.
Remote Year is a program that puts together 75 people from across the world, and we travel to 12 countries for 12 months. We're working, of course, remotely. We all have remote jobs, at least with us. We're traveling, we're exploring these cities, we're getting a feel for the business ecosystems, we're connecting with the community, a little bit of everything really. I think what initially drew me to Remote Year was the community aspect. As I said, I'm with 75 people from across the globe that are coming from different industries. They have different jobs, they're entrepreneurs, they're freelancers, they're employees, but they're all super brilliant, collaborative people, and I think that initially was the thing that made me want to join the program.
All right, so Rhonda, it sounds like you've got Europe and some of South America covered, and Will, you are all over Asia, but you actually moved to Thailand. So what was the decision behind that?
When I came here 2 years ago as on a visiting trip, and I saw a bunch of people in these different coffee shops working on like MacBooks and different computers, and I basically decided, let me see what these guys are doing. So I kind of looked around and saw on these screens, and I saw like WordPress, I saw Illustrator, I saw Photoshop. So once I started realizing like these guys are doing exactly what I'm doing, but I'm doing it in the States and they're doing it from Thailand. So my desire really, it kind of piqued my interest. I was like, maybe that's something I could do as well. And so I started doing research and then found out that the place I'm in right now, which is Chiang Mai, Thailand, is actually the #1 spot for digital nomads. So I started doing more research and figuring out, okay, what's the cost of living, et cetera, et cetera. And it basically just became a no-brainer. It's like, okay, this is going to give me the opportunity to go from, the corporate 9 to 5 to doing my own business full-time, as well as giving me more opportunities to do other business ventures as well.
And for both of you, why now? Why did you decide to up and leave your 9 to 5 and go pursue your dreams abroad and live this life of freedom and still make an income? Why do it right now?
The cost of living here is so inexpensive, and that's why people come here, is because you get cheap food, you get cheap accommodations. So it gives you, basically you're trading time for money when you're in the corporate environment. And when you come here, it's like you free up more time because you're not having to make as much money to support your life. So like I basically just had that confidence, like, okay, the numbers are there. It's a place I want to do, and I have to do it now. I just felt the desire within that I needed to do it now, because if I didn't do it now, it wouldn't happen.
I think with Remote Year, this is the kind of concept that people, a lot of times they put off into retirement. They say, oh, when I retire, I'm going to disrupt the world. And this kind of is an opportunity to really take all of those things that we wanted to do way in the future and do it now. If you can do it now, why not? You can do great work in an office. You can do great work anywhere. Personally, I am really big into humanitarian development, and that was something that I always wanted to pursue. And so while I am working remotely with various NGOs and things like that, I can get a better feel for what's happening in the field when I'm in the field. So for instance, last month I was in Belgrade, I was in Serbia. I probably never would have gone to Serbia on my own, but this is an opportunity for me to go to Serbia, and I got to work and volunteer with a program that's catering and helping out migrants and refugee families. And that's something that I've seen on TV, that's something that I've read about, but being in the thick of it and talking to these 13 and 14-year-old boys and these mothers and seeing these children, like that's something that you can only get a feel for actually being in that spot. And so for me, this is an opportunity to take all of those ideas, those things I wanted to do, those things that I was putting off into the future and making them happen now.
So we're definitely seeing this trend, right, where young professionals are leaving corporate America and traveling all across the world to pursue their careers, whether they're still owning their own business or, still working for a corporate America job. They would prefer working abroad. So how has your experience changed your take on corporate America?
I think that corporate America itself, honestly, is changing. I think the landscape of corporate America is changing because the talent pool is changing. Now, mind you, I'm with 75 people. We're not all entrepreneurs. We're not all freelancers. Some people are working for large corporations, but I think what corporations are finding is that they like to call it the millennial mindset, but I think it really goes across all generations. Great workers, high-level talent, they all have a few things in common, right? They want to be respected. They want to feel valued in their company. They want to feel that they're making an impact both in the company and in their culture and their community. And they also, and I think this is the kicker, they want to do great work and they want their bosses to leave them alone and let them do great work, or their clients to leave them alone and let them do great work. And so I think that if corporate America is going to keep up, if they're going to be able to attract and retain these high-level workers, these high-level talent, then they're going to have to change and reflect, what these workers want. And I think something else they want is flexibility, and they want work-life balance. And I think this is where this whole remote work, this shift, and flexible and work independent, that all comes to play. And so I think I don't have any knocks against corporate America. I just think that over time, I think you're seeing this, over time that they're going to have to change to reflect the talent.
I'm blessed every day that I can get up and I can kind of work my own schedule in whatever environment I want to. Like if I want to work on the beach, which I've done many times, if I want to work in a mountain setting, I can do that. If I want to work, from my apartment, I can do that. So it's a great way, it's a great lifestyle, and it's hard for me to go back or see myself go back to like the corporate environment and really just sitting there. That was like the biggest downfall for me, was like the fact that I had to sit in a spot for 8 hours a day and able to enjoy more of life as opposed to sitting in a desk. So yeah, it's great.
So Will, I know you've had your own business for quite some time, even while you were working for corporate America. So how has this experience helped you grow your own business?
It's given us the opportunity to grow because it's given us the leverage to really put more time into the business, being full-time, not working in the corporate world and doing this stuff kind of on the side and on the weekends. It's given me more leverage to sit down and like figure out, okay, this is the plan, this is how things are going to work. And so like really we're putting a lot of effort into like revamping everything and rebranding ourselves and really pushing ourselves and so we anticipate more growth. Like we had a really good like second and third quarter, slowed up a little bit now, slowing down. But the next year, it's kind of the cycle of like websites and mobile applications. It's been like that. I've been doing it for 15 years, 16 years. So I just know the cycle. But we're really planning for like 2017 to be kind of the breakout year for our company. So we're growing incrementally as needed, but 2017 we're really going to like go head on with it.
So clearly this is a trend, like I said earlier, that young professionals are so intrigued by. So for those that are considering moving abroad to still work but pursue this life of freedom and wealth, what advice would you give them?
Very type A, I'm very much a planner, and for me this is the craziest thing that I've ever done because I've never really diverted from the course. I said I was going to go to school, study this, and be a journalist, and do X, Y, and Z, and I did all those things, and then this came and it kind of blew all that out the water. For me, I ended up leaving a job and doing remote year, and so it was a risk. It definitely was a risk, but I think at the end of the day, playing it safe just wasn't an option anymore. I think you could still fail at playing it safe, and I think that's what I want people to realize. Like, we make all these decisions based out of fear, and we call it practicality, but it's really just being afraid of, the worst possibility. I have no regrets in what I did. Like I said, I quit a job. I had no idea what I was going to do in order to make remote year work, because it is a program that you do have to pay for. But everything works itself out. It works its way out. And so my advice would just be to stop playing it safe. Just stop making excuses. You can take it one step at a time or jump in completely. For me, I just jumped in completely and hope for the best. And I think a lot of the people that are on this program with me, they did the same thing. But the worst case scenario is usually a scenario that you'll never face. And so I would say just go for it. Talk to people that have been through it and realize that one way or another, things will work themselves out.
I think the biggest one really is set a date for your departure. So what I did was I created my own little website and I put a countdown. It says time for Thailand. Actually, I'll have to go back and look at it, but it was like Thailand time. And it literally had like a counter, it had like, days, hours, everything. And I made that my default Google Chrome homepage. So every time I opened my laptop, I saw that date. And underneath it, I had a Tony Robbins quote. I think it's in the moments of decision is when your destiny is shaped. So that's like one of my most profound quotes that I like from him. Plan it out. Like think about exactly what you need to get rid of, what you need to do, how your finances are going to look. And once you have all that information documented, find a reasonable date and stick to it. Like I literally did not budget by a single day. So it was just discipline for that. And then other steps to success is just really doing your research. Find out where you want to go. Find out like what the environment is. Join some Facebook groups. Get interactive in the community before you get there. A lot of people don't do that. They kind of wait until they get here and then they're surprised like, oh, I need to set up a bank account to get wires and this, stuff you don't really think about until you're actually there. So sometimes getting in the environment, getting into like one of these groups that are online, you can kind of start understanding what the process is and what the daily struggles of nomads are. So like really just getting the information. So after step one, get the information, do the research, and just be smart about it. Don't put yourself in a bind like as soon as you get here.
Well, I certainly admire both of you for taking that leap of faith. It's been such a pleasure having you on the show, and it's even more exciting to follow them on social media. You can follow them at the links below. And also, if you have any questions for Rhonda or Will about their experience abroad, if this is something that you're considering doing, leave your comments below. We'll make sure to get Rhonda or Will to answer your questions. And we also have a set of resources available to you, some Facebook pages that might be helpful if this is something that you're considering doing. And as always, make sure you subscribe for even more videos on my channel. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next Wednesday at 4 p.m. Eastern.
I always like to start with that we're all people and we all have baggage. We all have experiences in relationships, whether they're healthy or unhealthy, and we roll that right into the workplace.